time, we're waiting on you to sit down. I'll bring this meeting to order. Stand, please. And before that Teresa gives invocation, I just want to take a moment of silence before she prays to remember Sandy Dever, who was killed in an accident about 3 weeks ago. And so he was here every week, so we just need to keep that family in your prayers and just give a moment's silence, please.
Lord, we thank you for your love and your mercy. And we thank you, God, for Jesus and for the forgiveness of our sins through him. We're mindful for people, God, this time of the season who have sadness and sickness. We pray for their healings and for peace in their heart. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen.
John, we lead us.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Turn the heat on? Yeah, that's terrible. Of course.
It always is cold in here.
I'll do the roll call and then I'll.
You got one right there and one right here.
Alderman Jim Mayer.
Here.
Alderman Mindy Flushauer. Here. Alderman John Gibson.
Here.
Alderman Jim Gillen.
Here.
Alderman Darby Patrick.
Here.
Vice Mayor Teresa Mock. Here. Mayor Pat Stillwell.
Here.
Just me.
The employee of the month is Myrna Livesey, if you'll come up with Myrna. And Myrna is the head librarian up here. I guess that's your title, right?
Yes, it is.
And she's been with us how long now?
Just a little over 2 years.
Okay, and she's doing a fine job up there. And they're doing, all those ladies up there, she's got a good bunch working with her. So this is recognition of you being the employee of the month, and we appreciate the hard work that you do.
Okay, thank you. We have a new website too, mountcarmelpubliclibrary.org.
Ooh, good, good, good. Thank you. Okay. I want to welcome everybody here tonight, and I hope that we have a good meeting. And if you have any questions, you can ask at the end of the meeting, and we will give you 5 minutes, I believe it is, isn't it? Yes. For what you have to say. And we'll miss Mr. Beaver giving his comments. So, but anyway, the approval and corrections of the minutes of the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting of November the 17th, 2022, and the committee department reports, monthly financial report. Did they hear any discussion?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Well, I have a second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Say aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, then we'll go on with the old business. Discussion and consideration of ordinance 22-515, ordinance established and update occupational safety and health program plan. Any discussions?
Make a motion to accept it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. This,
That's an ordinance.
oh, well,
Are we gonna roll call
okay.
on that?
Alderman Jim Bayer.
Yes.
Alderman Mindy Sugar.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Yes.
Alderman John Gibson.
Yes.
Alderman Jim Gillen. Alderman Darby Patrick.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Teresa Mock.
Yes.
Mayor Pat Stillwell.
Yes. Okay, discussion and consideration of the ordinance 22-516, ordinance adopting references the state traffic offenses and the rules of the road. Do I have any discussion on it first?
What's the breakdown on that? I mean, what else it
Where's the
covered?
police when we need them?
It would be.
All of these Tennessee codes down here. We've added one that we left out, 558204.
It's basically, Jim, all the rules of the road and by statute. It's also the registration license section and the lighting section. If you actually look in the statute book in the state of Tennessee, 55.8, it's gonna be sections 101 through 191, less 132. So it encompasses a great deal, but they're basically the same things that we've always been done. But the state's updated their statutes, and we needed to update our resolution to adopt their statute. So it then becomes a municipal offense. And we're only allowed to do those offenses that are Class C misdemeanors. That's why there's a few that are accepted to.
Okay.
Any other questions on it? Making you look right here. Okay, do I have a motion?
Make a motion to accept.
I'll second it.
Okay, I'll, roll call please.
Alderman Jim Bayer,
Yes.
Alderman Minnie Schubert,
Yes.
Alderman John Gibson,
Yes.
Alderman Jim Gillum,
Yep.
Alderman Darby Patrick.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Teresa Mock,
Yes.
Mayor Pat Stillwell.
Yes. New business now. Discussion and consideration to accept the SCADA bid.
I have invited Mr. Hellstrom from Long Mountain to answer any questions, and explain a little bit about what we're doing and give his recommendation.
And then state your name again, please.
Dean Hellstrom, engineer with Long Mountain. Do they have the what?
No.
Excuse it, okay.
Yeah, if you wanna pass them out, that's good.
Thank you. Thank you for working hard for us. Thank you.
So we had opened bids on November 22nd for this project. And we had two bids. Considering the first time we bid it, we had 0 bids, so we felt pretty good. The bids range from $190,000 to $247,497.33. The low bid was from Source Automation out of Huntsville, Tennessee. I confirmed with them that they are willing to do the work, and they would probably be starting at the first of the year, next year, in January. So what this project does is it communicates to the staff of this levels in each of the wet wells, so that if it gets to a point where it's an alarm system, instead of relying on the lighting that's out there and then somebody calling them, it will automatically tell them that, hey, we got a high level alarm, pumps aren't working, come out to me because we need help. So it's just a safety consideration that has been strongly recommended by TDEC as part of the compliance items that have been identified throughout the wastewater collection system.
Why is there such a big difference between the two bids? Are the warranties on, are there?
Everything's the same. They both bid through the bid documents that we provide them. They both have to provide the warranties. It's the same equipment, just somebody's labor rates are a little bit higher than the others.
When did you say this was gonna start in January
Yep.
and goes for how long?
Up to, I think we give them 180 days, but what we have set up in the bid documents is once they start, that they have to complete the work in a period of time. So they can't like do one and then be gone for 2 months and then come back and do one. Once they come, they have to work their way through all 11 lift stations.
So how many lift stations do we have?
11.
How many lift stations do we have that's gonna have to be done that way, the way you're describing it?
Are there gonna be any change orders at all, you see for in this?
We do not anticipate any change orders.
You did, that would, price keeper would.
Yep. So in this situation, we did have the actual number 2 bidder actually came out and looked at all of the lift stations and helped identify everything that was needed. And they provided their price, and I think they may have, were unsure what their thought process was. Maybe they, no competition, and
What kind of pumps are y'all planning on putting in, or?
there's no pumps that are going in.
Okay.
It's just a transducer, and then all of the wiring associated
Okay.
with that, and then radio, cellular communications.
Basically communication processes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I looked up a bunch of information, of course, somebody that's not
Replacing your existing system.
knowledgeable about this stuff, it referred to the RTUs, what you were talking about, remote terminal units.
Yeah.
But it also says something about, I think HMI, the one person that, for the information would be uploaded to a computer and
Yep.
someone, so
Alarm system runs in.
who is being trained to be able to
The
read
staff
it?
will be trained to operate that and how to do that. So some of these is you can actually control the pump stations, but we didn't want to go to that level. We were asked to not have that capabilities at this stage because they wanted staff to actually go out and actually have to get into the control panels to see what was going on, what was the cause of the problem, rather than just to hit the deactivate the alarm kind of deal. So they actually have to go out and check on it. So that was something that Kevin requested.
May I ask a question? It
Yes.
says the bids have been reviewed and approved by the city attorney. Do you know if that's correct? I'm the city attorney, I've never seen it.
I talked to Joe about it over the phone, and I bet we haven't reviewed it with you.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, that answers the question.
She
I
hung
was-
she hung you out, right?
So I guess it
That's
would be a
okay.
shock.
I'm sorry.
No.
So it was for compliance that Emily had talked to him about the bids and that, so.
How does this,
He made your
how does
face
this
turn
affect our
green.
standing to that?
It's going to, one is
It was-
help improve, that they're actually, instead of talking that we're gonna do it,
We're actually making
we're
steps to
making
improve it.
steps to do that, so.
Will that ensure the, sorry, I think I'm trying to word this, will that ensure our potential for future fines should decrease?
I think what they're going to see is, I can't tell you that they're going to decrease, they may, I can't speak for them. What we are going to show is the steps that have been made since Kevin came on board have been drastic to the good. If you go out to the plant now compared to what it was a month before he arrived, it's a different place. Does it still need work? Certainly. And one of the things that we did yesterday, we took Kevin on a kind of a field trip, and we had looked at a couple products to help with the the solids. It's a dewatering type of system for the solids, because as of right now, they've been struggling with the drying beds, and the belt press out there is not operational. And I think they've gotten a box to help with the dewatering. What this will do is this next piece of equipment that is in process that TDEC is also wanting, we'll be coming back to you probably in January talking about the next part of the project, and that is something, it's a, you ever have that where you just went go blind?
Oh, yeah.
It's a screw press, and what that does is as the solids go in there, they mix with a polymer, and then as they go in through this, it's pushing the water out of the solids, and by the time it comes out, it's kind of more like a cake mixture. So if you go out to the plant now, if you would happen to be out there and you look at the drying beds and stuff, it's gonna be a much simpler product and much easier to deal with. It will not require somebody to sit and babysit the equipment. He can walk away, or whoever can walk away from it, and it'll be operational.
Would the waste fees or get rid of it?
Yes. Without having to pay for water to dump it. So it's gonna be, in the long term, it's gonna be a much better system for you.
How long is it gonna take to do that one you've got here?
We have them it's 180 days window, but once they start, they have, I think, 90 days to complete the work.
So after you get the first one done here that we're speaking of, do you go to the next one?
Yes.
You're gonna go till you get all of them done?
Yep.
Okay, that's all I got.
How's this communicated with the employees of the sewer plant?
They'll have communication, there'll be a laptop somewhere, and they're also, will get notified by cell phone of any issues.
I guess in the future, it could be like a camera over above it and just look on the screen and see everything instead of going all the way out there.
Certainly, you can bring in that level to that, certainly. I mean, this is the start of it. You can always add to the SCADA and what inputs and outputs you want to see.
Yeah.
And that would be something, especially at the plant, as things are improving there, you can, tie out all of these other things to the SCADA system.
Unless you're doing that wiring, then you can just go ahead and put it just the wires or stuff like that while you're doing it.
Yes.
Any other questions?
So do we make motion to accept the $190,000 bid? Swiss Automotive?
The recommendation.
I'll make a
Okay,
motion
do
to
I
accept
have-
the one. Sorry.
I'm sorry, do I have a motion? You just did, right?
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion consideration of the committee appointees. The last,
Do you need a roll call?
No, we don't need a roll call, just all in favor.
all in favor of those on here, let me explain something. We left out, I didn't have the papers or anything in front of me, and we left out Bob Larkins on the planning commission, and he has been on there, and Gary Eads, if any questions about the county member, we have to have one or two people outside of Mount Carmel to be on this committee. So now, do I have, come in, and, but anyway, these are the ones in front of you, and, so, and Fallon Phelan at first was left off of the planning commission. And
We still need to do all in favor.
all in favor, yeah, all in favor, say aye.
What are we voting for?
The $190,000.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, we going there.
Yeah, we did a first and a second, but we didn't do the all in favor.
Oh, do we have to do an all in favor or vote that one?
Yeah.
Which one, yeah?
All in favor.
All in favor?
Yes.
To accept it? Okay. Anybody say no? Okay. Now, the town of Mount Carmel's, this is the ones that are, put to serve on these committees. And, so, I have a favor in accepting these.
I would recommend that we do it one by one and do a roll call vote.
Well, I have a question. I didn't fully understand on the park where it reads, I can see it. The term of each of the 6 appointed members shall be 3 years, except that the terms of the first 2 appointed members shall be 1. And then the second one, 2 years. I didn't follow that.
It's just a matter of trying to stagger them so when they come off, they'll be replaced. You know, you have the original ones, then you'll have the 2 years one, then you'll have the 3 year one. It's just a method of staggering the tenures of the first people that go on there, so that they'll come up for election at different times. You won't have all of them all next again.
So one,
That's what it is. There'll be 3 leaves in, 3 comes in.
but when it says 1 year, is one person actually only going to serve 1 year?
What I think the way it reads is 1 2 year, is it not, the term of each of the members shall be 3 years, except that the terms of first 2 appointed members shall be 1, 2, and 2, 3 year respectively. It's kind of hard to
Was
read.
that when the board was initially established, they had ordered it that way so that they would stagger?
I think that's exactly.
So that doesn't necessarily apply since we already have a,
That's exactly right. It doesn't, but that's the reason it's in there.
Any,
We were up here last week, 2 hours, arguing over this. And I know he's got a motion in, I'm putting one in right now that we vote for the whole thing as a whole.
Do I have a
Get it over
second?
with.
I'll second that.
Okay.
I'm sorry to interject. There is one, if we're gonna vote for it as a whole, there's a question regarding the wording on the beer board, as far as who's to be on the board. It says, there is hereby established a beer board to be composed of the mayor, or in his absence, the vice mayor. And I notice we have the vice mayor listed as the person that's on there. I guess that's open to interpretation, whether you're unavailable permanently, but I mean, I think it was designed to be that you're on there, and if you don't appear at a meeting, then the vice mayor would appear. But I'll leave it up to the board to decide how they want to interpret that on the beer board.
Okay.
it could be reworded, mayor or vice mayor serve?
Sure, I mean, you can,
You take kids out, don't leave kids in there.
depending on how, but that's an ordinance.
It says he isn't that we're.
That's an ordinance, but yes, it could be amended to say that, surely, if the board desires that, yeah, no problem.
I think it's
We
that.
wanted me, I needed that later. That- okay. All right, do I have a, we've got he
He
made the
seconded.
motion, you seconded. Now, do we have to,
Was
Either
it,
equal.
did you make a motion?
I did.
Okay.
And then the second, Jim.
Did anyone second Jim?
No.
Okay.
okay, let's call it for a vote then.
I have a question before we vote. On the public outreach committee, you had a citizen to reach out to you to be on that committee.
Who?
She's sitting up there. Kat,
I have not talked to her.
we discussed this at the previous meeting.
I don't remember talking about who to her.
Well, you said you had not talked to her.
No.
At the last meeting,
No,
yeah.
I have not talked to her.
She's here.
so that was a recommendation of the outreach committee for the replacement.
Well, the outreach committee, is, Marilyn Price, Regina Perkins, Stephen McLean, John Gibson, and Mindy Flesher. That's who I've chosen.
Well, would you let the citizen know why her request was denied by you?
I did not get a request. I did not talk to her.
You did get a request.
Who was it?
Her email was sent to Emily, and Emily gave it to you.
Emily didn't give me nothing like that.
It came to the city hall email after the, solicitation. We got 3 emails. Those are the ones I mentioned at the workshop.
They didn't come to us though, right?
It came to the city hall email.
Which we requested that the citizen do.
Well, anyway, I didn't see it, but this is what I've done got down. Stephen, do you have a problem with you being on board? Okay, and did you not, when did you ask me to do, that you'd like to be on this board? Okay, all right, so those were the first to come there, and, so, that's the only one that, asked me, nobody else asked me.
So you're saying that we requested that the citizens notify City Hall of their wishes to be on a committee. And you're saying
Well,
because they did
her
not,
wishes to
let me
be on
finish
it.
before you speak. When these people sent an email to City Hall, like we requested, you're saying because it did not come to you, they're not considered.
No,
She said
I'm
that
just
she
saying.
didn't hear it, she didn't know it.
I didn't hear from her, and I didn't know about it.
Is there
He
a
was
better way?
advised at the last meeting that we had 2 weeks, last week.
Not this name, this name brought up, do you remember it being brought up? What was your name again?
Catherine Cashburn?
Do you remember that? Do you remember
I
that?
don't remember
I don't
any names
recall
being-
it. Do you
I
don't
shared
remember
an
remember my
email,
name.
I had 3 emails that I've shared at the workshop.
Is there a better way as far as the information being given to all of us? Can you keep a list of names?
Well,
where
that's
people-
what I did, I just got 3 emails and I presented them at the workshop before we started the discussion.
But can we have it written down? I mean, sometimes the discussions here get so lengthy and involved and just rigmarole that we just lose track of things that have been said. There's no dismissal of
You know,
anyone.
they
It's
just put a
just,
copy of it in the mayor's desk.
The only one that I have put on there, that he came off, and he had to come off because he is now on the board of mayor and aldermen. So, when Stephen asked me to put him on, then that's when I put him on. So now, he's staying on there, and we're gonna vote on it.
in regards to the terms of the people that are currently on the boards, how are we going to ask these people to resign? In what form or fashion are they gonna be notified that their service is no longer accepted by the town? If someone serves 6 years, how are they gonna be notified?
Well,
Are we-
it's got down here that 2 years beginning January the 1st on the year of appointing, which they were appointed. When were you all appointed, Mandy?
This year.
This year, when this year?
It's like over the summer, I think. It's over the summer, I think.
Over
But
the
this is
summer.
this is
So
a
then
regular
you'll have
meeting.
2 years to serve on this committee. Then
Does
that's,
these, board, do they rotate every 2 years? How many?
I don't know who did you all do the ordinance,
Yeah, it's
bylaws
every 2
here?
years. Every 2 years,
Everybody?
yeah, everybody.
Okay.
While we're on that subject too, the planning commission, when we've got Darby on here for that one, and this is your first time sitting on the planning commission, Darby?
Yes.
No, he's not on the planning commission. Oh, yeah, he
Yes,
is, yeah,
yeah.
never mind.
So this one, according to bylaws, said that it should rotate every 8 months. Since it's took this many months to get committees squared away at all, can we go ahead and set the next, I don't know, 8 to 16, 24, next 3 people? Would Jim Gillen or Jim Bear or anybody else want to sit on that after Darby's 8 months? We go ahead and get those set? Like the vice mayor said? Because you're right after
but
that.
I can still appoint them. I can
Not
still
this seat.
appoint them, yeah, I can.
No.
It says the planning
It doesn't.
commission, I appoint those.
Would you like to
Here's
read
the
it?
way I look at that. I don't think it's fair to ask the guy, can you sit in on this right now until it comes vacant? When it comes vacant, that's the time they should be asked. Because I tell you right now, yeah, I'll go on the planning commission, then somebody's gonna get removed, and I move in, I don't think that's right.
Well, it was set to it. That's what the bylaws read. It rotates every 8 months.
How old is them bylaws?
There's old as when the planning commission was established.
I served 8 years.
Oh.
I served 8 years. and
I'm
that's-
not disputing that, but I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of times these aren't followed.
Well, I've never seen this, what we have here, I've never
I've
seen
never
Or we
seen
could
it
pull it from the code and see what was passed, but I mean, it's just, according to this one, what she's pulled out of the ordinances, that it should rotate every 8 months. I remember reading about this back in the early 2000s where they changed, where it had every 8 months where it rotated, so every single person within your 4-year term would serve on the planning commission. I'm fine with not, if anybody else would rather, in the 8 months. But I mean, it's set so that in 8 months from now, if we pass this, so 8 months from January 1st, somebody would need to replace your seat on it if we're going to follow the bylaws.
Well, then let's just, we might have to work on these bylaws.
I think we should get a new set of bylaws for that ever attempts to take place.
So, well,
Because I don't
anyway.
know how old those bylaws are. In 6 months, when it comes time to rotate, somebody may come up and say, Jim Gilman, do you want to go on the board? I may change my mind at that time, and say, yeah, I'm ready, let's go.
Okay,
And I think that's only fair.
Well, let's just wait and see what the board has to say about the bylaws, because they can change the bylaws if they want to change the bylaws.
Well, let's get along with what we got.
All right, do I have a motion to accept these?
I have one more thing. Would you take my place on the beer board?
Well, you're already on it.
I
He
know,
took
but you
my,
take
he took my spot.
I will when it comes time.
When it's
No,
time,
but
happens.
you don't want to be on the beer board, is what you're saying?
On the beer.
Come on, Steve, you've been in here long enough.
They, when I was on the beer board before, I was a citizen.
And Jim, I went off the beer board, I was an alderman, he took my spot.
Okay, so what you're saying, you're stepping out?
There's only one alderman on the beer board.
I was alderman before, and I went off, and Jim went
You're
off.
on the beer board. Jim, you're on the beer board.
I know, but I'm saying, as an alderman, this would be my first appointment to the beer board. Would you take my place instead of me serving on the beer board as alderman? Would you serve as alderman?
I don't mind.
Okay.
So change Jim's,
You'll take me off and put Jim Young.
because that was a mistake when she put Jim Gillum to begin with. It wasn't anybody's fault, it was just, it was a misprint that she
Right.
did instead of Bear, she put Jim down.
I understand, because there's two Jims and she's not used to that.
When I go, I'll drink about 5 beers before you.
There you go.
Don't they have to vote
Me or him?
You got more money than we got.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
I don't drink
Okay.
and drive anyway.
Well, now with the change of putting Jim Gillum on instead of Jim Bear, now do I have a motion to, accept this?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Do I have a second?
You got it.
I'll make a second, but in regards to what Alan said, it has to be, rewritten, mayor or vice mayor.
I think there's been a question raised whether we want to review, and that's up to the board to decide, and then we decide if we want to have it done, but review both the planning commission, you're saying, for the 8-month terms, and the beer board for the 4 mayor or vice mayor, is that right?
Yeah, okay.
Something that we can work on, sure.
We'll work on
I
that.
mean, you're stuck with it and what you got right now, but if to amend it in the future, that's, would be
Okay.
fine.
So we got a motion and a second. Do we do a roll call on this?
If you wish.
I wish.
Yes.
Alderman Jim Bear,
No.
Alderman Mindy Schubert,
Yes.
Alderman John Gibson,
No.
Alderman Jim Gillum,
Yep.
Alderman Darby Patrick,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Teresa Mock,
Yes.
Mayor Pat Stillwell.
Yes. Okay, that's fine. Let's go to this next one. Discussion and consideration of update personnel policy, sick, / vacation leave. We discussed this in the planning.
Make a motion to accept it.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
I'll make a motion to amend it.
To amend it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So I've got, this is a little, this the way it was presented, I think was a little bit different, at least in my interpretation of the, certainly it's not different. My interpretation of where we left off at the sick days. So my things that I want to amend, I would like to make a motion to amend on that, is that we leave the sick accrual rate at the same that it sits right now.
And that is,
I'm sorry, Ms. Wood, can you?
The
Their accrual would be-
accrual rate is 1 day per pay period, 8 hours per pay period.
And then second, we pay it for short-term disability at 100%. If the employee's off sick for after 10 business days or 2 weeks, then at that point, they have to use the short-term benefit that we're paying for. We don't have a cap on sick time, and that keeps the rate that they accrue sick time the same for the TCRS, but by having a short-term disability policy at a 10%, or 10 days to use it, that would keep it from being, that we're having to pay for. But also I wanna keep in there the stop the accrual when on sick time or on leave, so that if somebody is on leave, they're not just continuing to accrue sick time, vacation time
No, it does say that in there.
Yeah,
I'm saying, I wanna make sure that
Oh,
that
yeah,
stays
yeah.
in there.
One day.
Oh, that's what I was thinking, that's what you say, like
but are
That
we
does or
saying,
does not?
No.
it does
I mean,
say-
I think that they're not gonna keep drawing on leave, yeah,
but are we saying that they top out at 90 days
for,
here on sick leave?
no cap on sick leave.
I wanna do
We're not getting rid of nothing.
So that they're able to continue to accrue it towards retirement.
That's what I was wondering there, that's what.
No, I think it's outrageous, I really do. I don't know anybody who accrues that type of, I think one lady, she said her brother had like 2,000 hours. I don't see it, I just don't see it.
Well, I think that's good because you allow people to accrue them year to year without any limit or requiring them to use them. And it's also occurred because right now, if they have a great deal of number of days or sick days or leaves, then they're accruing additional sick days while they're out. So it's self-perpetuated. So unless you change something, I agree with you, that's an unusually generous benefit. Because most places no longer allow huge accumulations of sick leave because
I don't think Kingsport, haven't they stopped that? Or-
everybody's stopping on the word.
How about if you're on 8 days, say they got a family member who's in the hospital, so they can take time off. Do we have that here?
We do not have FMLA because we have less than 50 full-time employees.
Okay.
But we do give them the ability to take sick leave for the employee's family, doctor's appointments, that type of thing.
Okay,
So they would have the ability to use sick leave at that point.
okay.
But I think you do have to address at some point whether you go to a maximum carryover, or you may want to do an audit and see which employees may have. If you have a significant number of employees with a large number of hours, how you're going to try to, if it's the board's wishes, to get these down to a certain number of hours allowed to carry forward. And then you give the people that have a greater number of hours a certain amount of time, whether it's a year or 2 years, whatever it is, to use up those benefits. But that's whatever the board wishes, but it is a very generous policy and it's expensive, I think.
Emily
They
wrote
can
this,
speak to that.
Emily wrote this out, that they would be allowed 90 days, which is 3 months, to apply to the TCRS retirement. I think that's generous in itself, without allowing them to have unlimited amount of time for sick. To me, sick days are not an entitlement, it's a kindness extended to you by your employer.
Well, the way it's written in here is, I think Emily intended it to be something to generate discussions on the page 19 of the personnel policy, sick leave. It says employees may accumulate an unlimited amount of sick leave or 720 hours. So you got to choose. To get unlimited, you get 720 hours, and then it says which may be carried over from one calendar year to another. So we have to make clear exactly how much you can accrue before you have to use it up. Because there's people with thousands of hours.
I thought we set up here last week, and everybody pretty much agreed to that it would go from 26 days down to 12 days per year, 1 day per month. And I thought that's what we all sat here and agreed to.
Yeah, we agreed on that, but also we had said we could sick days that would go to the retirement too, I thought.
Oh, yeah, it says right here that it can be applied to their, TCRA retirement too, or TCRS.
And that's what, I mean, I think wrote in this is under this new accrual system, it was accrued at a much lower rate than what was discussed at the workshop. And what Mr. Gibson is saying is, he's asking, if I believe, if I'm saying it right, you would leave that alone to the present accrual of the 8 hours per workship?
Right, I'm not looking at wanting to decrease the benefits that we're providing for our employees, which is ultimately, that's what that would be doing. The proposal, as is written, is a decrease in benefits. Wouldn't support, wouldn't be in favor of decreasing our benefits for our employees at all. The problem that we have to look at is the liability of how we're paying for the sick days. By having a short-term disability policy, we're not liable for the sick days after 10 days in regards of an employee being out. If an employee's out for a year, for let's say 12-month period, After 10 days, we pay their sick time, then for the sick days, then after that 10 days, they're covered under the short-term disability policy. So even though they might have sick days available to use, because of consecutive days out, now they've got to use short-term. So we're not paying for it, but the employee's still getting the benefit towards the TCRS retirement.
You would say they're losing days that are not here.
How do you deal with the people that have accrued a great amount already?
Well, it says in here that if they already used the short-term disability after 10 work days or 80
But
hours.
we can't, right, and so that's what I'm saying, but I'm ultimately, the motion, the amendment that I'm making is to leave the days that they accrue alone, which is not what's in here. So I probably included some stuff in the amendment that was already in there. I just was trying to write some thoughts down. But I don't want to, I'm not looking to decrease their benefit, I'm looking to reduce our liability for it.
I've got a question on
Well,
that.
if they don't have to use it and they get it on short-term disability, how do you decrease the liability? Because they still have the sick days over there, you still have the liability. They're
Right,
free.
of that time, but if they're on a leave period, I mean, you're essentially letting them protect their retirement days or their accrued time that they're building towards their retirement by using the short-term disability. Where we're not having to necessarily pay it out like we were in cases that we've had this year of employees where they've been on leave for a long period of time.
Well, don't you just shift them to pay out from the immediate placing the short-term ability to the long-term
But we
when
don't-
they have them left over because they were on short-term?
Do we pay out for sick time?
We do not.
So we wouldn't pay out for sick time.
So if they go on short-term disability, does their time still accumulate? And
As it's written now, they do not.
I think Pat, well, Steve wanted to speak, and I want to recognize him.
Okay, Steve,
I just got a
if you're
question.
standing up, please stand.
Just asking you earlier about.
Okay.
Got a question on your amendment. What if your short term runs out? What are you gonna do then? When they file over on the long term and they still have sick time available? But your short term is just good for 6 months.
Which we wouldn't be paying out if they go on long, I don't understand the difference if they're on short-term or long-term. Yeah, they still have the sick days there, but how are we paying those out on long-term disability?
Your long term is
I understand that.
But if you've got sick time accrued as an employee, why would you wanna take what it is, 66% of your wage instead of being to use your sick time?
I'll just withdraw the motion and we can leave it where it's at. The amendment motion, I should say.
I'm gonna make a motion to pass this written.
There's one
I've
here.
got it, yeah, already passed it. Did I make a motion?
I make,
You did.
That's in here.
One thing that needs to be clarified is the way that it's written is a either or under the cap or unlimited. So we need a specific motion on what you wanna do there.
Cap it. That's my motion. Cap it.
That's on 4.2 sick leave. That's the second sentence that she's talking about.
I think that's the only one that's open-ended, so the motion is under section 4.2 to cap it at 720 hours. And then the rest would be as written.
I will second that motion.
Any other questions? Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept this?
Yeah,
You
Jim
got it.
Dillon,
You
Jim
did.
Baker.
Are we voting on the cap or the 720, or are we just voting the motion for, the motion includes being capped?
The motion is to approve everything as written. However, in section 4.2, under the sick leave, I was unsure if what you all wanted to do as far as the, cap on the accumulation, if you wanna leave it to the unlimited amount, which is what it is now, or cap it at 720 hours. And Alderman Gillum made a motion to approve it as written with, the cap of 720 hours.
So striking unlimited amount of
Yes,
sick time.
correct.
No cap on it.
For years, that's gonna be one.
Single days, it's,
90 days, 3 months.
It's written in there at the rate of 4 hours per pay period.
That's one day a month, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, so.
Any other questions?
Motion and a second.
The motion is second.
Jim,
Roll
yes.
call, please,
You did say.
with the 720 hours, right?
Yes,
Okay.
as written with 720
No
hours.
cap on sick leave, 720 hours. Okay.
Alderman Jim Bayer,
Yes.
Alderman Mindy Sugar,
Yes.
Alderman John Gibson,
No.
Alderman Jim Gillum,
Yes.
Alderman Darby Patrick,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Teresa Mock,
Yes.
Mayor Pat Stillwell.
Yes. Okay. Now going on to discussion, consideration and revise the order of the EMA meeting. Discussion.
The motion, I request after Mr. White's comments at the last meeting, to put that on the agenda at the last meeting. I make the motion that we return that back to the original order of the meeting with the visitors' comments before old business, with a subsection of the committee and departmental reports broken down separate.
I
So,
make- Are you through?
I know.
I make the motion, we do not change it, because when people come before the board with a question or a comment, they can be very angry, they can be very confused about what the issue, they can be unknowledgeable. When they do present their problems to us, our minds should start turning as to what they're discussing. Often we have no idea. This allows us at the end of the meeting to go up to the people and discuss it farther with them while our questions are fresh in our mind. If it's at the first, then it's just, our minds become engaged in the business that's before us.
If
So I-
anybody ever has a question on what's on the agenda, they can always be called on, so, like if they
I
came.
didn't hear what you said.
I said, and even if somebody had a question or wanted to say something in regards to something that's on the agenda, they can always be spoken or called on to speak, so.
I'll second
If
that
they
motion.
ask.
To me, it's more logical for what
Oh, yeah, I agree.
No, John.
Look what happened when we were pretty much accosted by that attorney from New York. I mean, he took over the whole meeting and all of
He
it.
wasn't attorney.
Visitors'
Oh, I
comments.
was not
We'll
attorney.
move this back up to here. at the beginning.
But when it's heated,
That's what he's.
our minds aren't truly able to focus on the business that's at hand. You're always gonna have little nagging questions, and you're not fully focused on what we're supposed to be discussing in front of us. If it's at the end, after the meeting's over, we can go up to that person and ask questions, or find out information from someone else who knows the matter they're discussing. Sometimes we're just blindsided with it.
Nobody
So
else-
I like it at
I'll
the
make a
end.
motion, go back to where it was.
There's a motion and a second for the first motion.
Okay, wait a minute. You made a motion to change.
Leave it. No, I made a
Or
motion
leave
to
it
leave
like it is.
Leave it.
Do I have
John's
a-
motion was first,
Oh, what was
so,
it?
to remove it by,
Very back
To
to
put
the
it
beginning.
back to the original John?
Yes.
And do I have a second?
I already seconded it.
Okay, roll call please on this one.
Alderman Mindy Sugar,
no.
Alderman John Gibson,
Yep.
Alderman Jim Gillum,
If this stays as it is,
No, it's still being good.
No, he wants to put
He
it
wants to
in.
put it back
the way
at the
it was
beginning.
before, where the visitor comments are at the beginning.
yeah, I'll go for it.
Alderman Jim Bayer,
Yes.
Alderman Darby Patrick,
No.
Vice Mayor Teresa Mock,
No,
Mayor Pat Stillwell.
Abstain.
Did it pass?
It's
Stands a no with that.
Yeah.
Well, where we go from here?
I'm gonna make a motion to table it for next
No,
month.
we've already voted
It's
on it.
already failed.
We're going to visitor comments.
Teresa's motion.
We don't need a motion to leave it the same. You don't need the action to leave it the same. If we don't take a vote on it, it stays the way it's, you wanna leave it the way it is right now, right?
I do.
So then we don't need to take a vote on that, because it's the way it already is. So we don't need to vote to change it, so we're on the next agenda.
I'll change my vote, leave it the way it is. Just go home.
You done that, James.
Okay, we'll move right on then, and visitors' comment? Y'all have a comment? Anybody?
Come on, Timber.
Timber, did you have something to say, honey?
No.
Okay, don't be embarrassing for daddy.
That's no.
Anybody else?
No.
Okay,
I believe I do.
okay.
I've been sitting here tonight. I wanted to, first of all, I wanted to say thank you for the honor and privilege of being Grand Marshal for the parade. It's wonderful to see this town focusing on the positive and a lot of positive things happening. And for that, I'm truly appreciative. But sitting here tonight, listening to some of the stuff that's going on, I've been really, really disappointed. It seems like, yes, you want to do what's best for this community. And I come into this cold turkey. I heard y'all talking about these committees. And when you've got people in the community, I know nothing about this lady or any of the others, but whenever you have people in this community that's willing to give of their time and energy on committees, and it's ignored, I don't like that. I don't like that.
We're not trying, that's what my point is though, if we have a list, I don't know the lady, but I'm glad somebody wants to
Well,
volunteer.
I was at the last committee meeting, I wasn't at the workshop, but I heard this same issue brought up. And it seems like if people don't get their way, it's just like a pit bull with anything. That you just get a hold of it and you shake it and shake it and shake it until you get what you want.
Well, I have.
And for that, I heard that myself at the last meeting, that we had people that was interested. And another thing, when doing these committees, I don't know who is over it, I understand you are demographics ever considered when putting these committees together?
Mhm.
Are they?
Yes,
Then look at
I
your list.
consider everyone that comes in, I have considered them. And if you want me to tell you about them later, I'll tell you why they
I
asked me.
looked at them, I just said, have you looked at the demographics?
Yes, I have,
Then you didn't follow demographics,
Yeah.
that's the only thing I can
I
say.
did.
Well, again, I'm not being negative, Nellie, I just don't wanna see this town start on the downward spiral again, and it seems like that only certain people's opinions are being listened to right now. So, thank you.
I think we should get there early.
I'd like to thank the people, Mrs. Perkins and this lady. I asked people, Sue, when I served a long time ago, nobody was interested in helping and being on the committee.
I know,
mean,
that's
nobody.
why I was so disheartened whenever I heard that people were volunteering to be on things, and everybody just acts like they don't know anything about it, when I know that you did, because I was in the meeting before and heard it myself.
Well, every one of these people I put on have asked me to be on these committees several months ago. So we discussed this in the last meeting.
Yeah, we've been discussing it for 6 months.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, John, you have anything,
For what, Alderman comments?
comments?
Yeah, I've got a few things. I would say, library's website looks good, Martin is already gone. Check out their website, the link to it is on our Facebook, on the city's Facebook page. It looks like some people's put in some work on that, so I want to thank her for that. And I want to thank the board for the participation in the parade this week. I think we had a good time, good turnout at that. And that's all I've got, thank you.
Mindy?
I just want to thank everybody for coming out to the Christmas parade. The Santa Run is this Saturday. It starts at 8 o'clock, so the fire department's Facebook page, you can follow for updates on where they're going to be at. Everybody have a Merry
City's
Christmas.
page.
Donna,
City's page.
I can't agree with Mindy,
the
that's
city's
City's page.
and the city's page. Merry Christmas. See
I
y'all
thought
next
you
year.
was done, I'm sorry. Do you have anything?
No, I disagree with Mindy.
Okay. Do you have anything?
I do. I'm with Sue. I'm disappointed with the way the committees has went. I think if citizens asked to be on the committee, that they should be considered, regardless if you personally speak to them or not. You was notified of their wishes to be on the committee, and you ignored those. So to me, you are ignoring the citizens of this town which elected you and myself. I'm here to represent all citizens of Mount Carmel, not just a selected few, which seems to be picnicking with yourself. On a positive note, thank you for coming out to the Christmas parade. And hopefully everybody will go out and see Santa on the fire truck, support the fire department. They're doing a wonderful job getting everything set up. And that's all I have.
Jim?
I just got a couple things. I wish you or somebody would put a website up that anybody wants to go on Mount Carmel website, see what's going on. They can go right on there somewhere, design one, or they can't get on it. Explain to me, they can't find the website
Website or Facebook?
on Facebook.
Oh, okay. We've got a Facebook.
Apparently they can't find it, I'm not on there enough to look at it.
I'll give them my phone number, to call me, because these people have called me, and I took consideration in, when they call me, who would I think would be the best to represent this certain board, or this certain
And
committee.
the other thing I got, I do remember, I don't know where she was here at the last meeting or not at the workshop, but I do remember Miss Perkins being here, and she was
She
asked,
did.
if she wanted to be on the committee.
I'll put you on the
And
committee.
that's the only one I remember being in here. Now, she may have been here, I ain't gonna say I'm blind, I ain't gonna say he was invisible, but you know, I just, all this
Give
stuff
me your
is.
phone number and your name when this is over, and I will put you down to contact you if something comes up, and I'll take you into consideration like I have the rest of them. Anybody else?
I would like to add something further to that. The lady that's interested, the first thing that's going to come open will be the outreach committee, because people in 2 years will go on. The
Yeah.
people that are on the library, it's my understanding they serve 6 years. That's a long time to wait. So Jim, I mean, you know,
And we can't do nothing
your
with
point
that.
here is the length of the term that people are assigned to these committees. They're not, she's not gonna walk into a position like that, that's not gonna happen because of the terms that we have set here. But you're young, that would be good, the outreach committee would be good.
Now let me say something about the library. They recommend who they want up
I mean,
there.
theirs is a total, they serve
Yeah.
3-year terms, a total of 6 years,
Yeah.
so that's not gonna be open.
Yeah, and the library, the regional library sets these rules. We
Well,
don't.
this time to say,
Yeah. I know.
Okay, about the outreach committee, can we not amend it to add 6 people instead of 5 and put her on that committee?
Well, you have to have odd
The biggest thing about
We don't
that,
have too many chiefs.
the biggest thing with committees, they're all sunshine, they're all public notice. If people want to come and provide input, we're pretty reasonable with wanting to listen to your input. So you're always welcome at the committees.
Yeah.
We're glad to have your input.
Yeah, come see us.
Be sure to give me your phone number. Okay. All right, and I wanna thank everybody again for coming in. Okay.
Sorry, I don't wanna get sick. If Jason will come in here, we want to recognize Miss Sue for being the grand marshal in the parade. So we got her a little plaque, we wanted to present it to you and just say how much we appreciate.
That's
all
why
you
you
do.
came down here.
I thought I'd give that her first before she went off.
That's why you came down here.
I'm here just about all the time, I think people remember.
Talk
So,
about it.
from us, from the town, we thank you and we just really appreciate all you do.
Turn around before we can see it.
Turn on, Jason.
Get in there,
So fast we
Jason.
Get a picture.
What else fancy? What's some cinnamon?
Want to see the creek here?
Oh, I love that right now.
That's very nice, that's very nice. I was very
Steve will
humble and
put that
very
in his
honored.
name tag.
Okay,
Sue,
okay.
I said Steve will put that in his name tag.
Attorney comments?
Attorney, you have any?
No.
Motion to adjourn.
Sue, we should give it to you.